I don't know where my power drill is, so done with that. Now, you might be wondering, why isn't Kay here? Why is that? Well, Kay is not a huge fan of explicit slasher films. She's been okay in the past, as you know from some reviews. Like, we've done Lady Terminator, she's seen like Microwave Massacre, she's seen Tammy and the T-Rex, she's seen many of the Jaws films. She's seen a lot of like gore films, but this was a little too gory for her. We even saw Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Eh, it's fine if you like it. I'm not a huge fan of it. So I'm going to fly solo, but to make it up, this review is going to be 3 times as long. Why is that? Because I'm not reviewing Slumber Party Massacre 1, not 2, but all 3. I am deciding to review all 3 of the Slumber Party Massacre movies because there is no, Kay has no desire to probably watch anything like this again if they're anything like the first film. So it kind of follows the idea of a typical slasher, but thanks to a video I saw from the Cinemasochist, shout out, it does do a couple of things different. Like, first of all, I noticed some of the jump scares. There's a shower scene that I was like, oh, that's Psycho. There was lightning, and I was like, well, of course there's thunder and lightning during a horror film. The power goes on, I'm like, yeah, that's another cliche. I did look up a couple of the funny bits. They were okay, I guess, but I think I understand when you write a comedy to have the actors play it straight, that way they're not chewing scenery, but I kind of wished that would have happened. I kind of wish this was a little sillier, a little campier. There was like some slightly funnier jokes. I'm sorry. No, I'm not saying women aren't good comedians. I would never say that. Anyway, apparently the director also changed the script a lot, but like kept the prologue. So I kind of wonder what the original script was. But yeah, it's a slasher film where the killer has like a power drill that he drills into guys and girls and kills them. According to the director and several of the people, it's kind of like a metaphor for losing one's virginity, apparently. Okay. Um, I could see that. Um, really, Maui Wowie. I think I would have used that for a water slide name if I could have. But I was like, yeah, weed and beer. Okay, that's pretty funny. There is a funny scene. Um, I don't know how much of it I can spoil. There's a scene involving a refrigerator that I think is pretty funny. Um, the one where it says like, "Hey, your breasts got bigger," and then like 4 girls at the same time go, "Mine?" It is a Roger Corman film, so there's a lot of TNA. Um, awesome. Hey, give me a break. I'm sorry. I didn't write or direct this movie. So, I can't. I don't know if I can spoil it or. I'm. Okay, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna say the scene was too much for that was too much for Kay. The scene that was too much was at the end where the like knife or drill went like through his or the sword went like through his stomach. That was the part that was very intense. I did like I liked almost all of the characters. There's no one that I was like, oh god, you're annoying. A few of them looked similar. I don't know if that makes me sexist or anything, but two of the girls kind of looked like Gilda Radner in my opinion. Um, I don't. Maybe I should see the remake. Maybe I, I might see that one day. But this is Kay's swan song regarding the slasher gore films. Um, I'm trying to think what else. Oh, there's a kind of funny scene involving a pizza. The commentary is a little dry. I would recommend watching instead the making of documentary. And oh, one other thing. We saw this on DVD. If you see this movie, if you decide to rent it, I recommend either stream it or if you rent it, I highly suggest renting it on Blu-ray because it was extremely grainy, the version that we saw, which was part of like the Roger Corman triple feature or something. Um, yeah. We do not have the best track record with Sir Roger Corman, including Fantastic Four and Viking Women and the Sea Serpent, one of our earlier reviews. Um, so anyway, this is my mini vlog. Um, Coming up, I'm gonna review Slumber Party Massacre 2. Base. And now I'm going to review Slumber Party Massacre 2. This one, the first one was more of a parody of like maybe Halloween and Friday the 13th. This one is really more of a parody of Nightmare on Elm Street. Um, it came out several years later. I don't even remember. Probably 87, I think? 86. Don't quote me on that, but I I'm sorry. I'm kind of tired right now. Anyway, this is the killer in this movie is a lot more comedic, which is something I don't mind. I look forward to that, especially in like obvious. Apparently, this is considered like a black comedy. Um, one thing but yeah, that's something I did like. The villain was way more comedic than he was in the first one. In the first one, he was just like, I'm gonna kill you, and you're gonna like it. In this, he's kind of got like a John Travolta style thing, like from Grease, to the point where he even like breaks the fourth wall. He does the splits. He has this guitar with a drill on the end of it. Now, that's cool and all. And there are a few jokes like there's a joke with a blow up. There's a running bit with a blow up doll and a perverted brother, which is pretty funny. This is all involving the hold on one second. Involving Courtney, the the survivor from the first movie. Now, how do I say this without being kicked off the internet? the main problem with this movie is that because it's more of referencing Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street, is that there's a lot of dream sequences. And so many of them, and a good chunk of the movie. This movie isn't even 80 minutes long, but so much of it is padded through flashbacks to the first movie and also to scenes from previously in the movie, in some cases a few minutes prior. It's not as funny as the first one. There's not as much witty dialogue. There's also not as much nudity as the first one, which I guess there's so many jump scares in this movie that I found it kind of boring and I found it kind of annoying. Also, the fact that it was with how can I because it was someone that was dealing with trauma, it's essentially it feels like it's kind of picking on someone with that's gone through trauma, which probably not the best idea when you're trying to make a horror comedy. At least I think this was a comedy. The songs are pretty catchy though, so I don't know. This is like maybe a weaker version of Roger Ebert's Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. I I would say if they ever remade this movie, I would just make it like a traditional horror film, like a Friday the yeah Friday like a Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, um, any one of those slashers, but have this. Just get rid of the dream sequences. Get rid of the dream sequences and make this make a and have a character that's not going through um PTSD. I understand why if Kay's gonna probably have PTSD for weeks now. Um but I the trailer made the movie seem far more comedic than it actually was. It did have some moments, but whenever it had like a funny ish whenever it had like a funny joke, it was almost immediately followed with a jump scare of oh God, I forgot her name already. Courtney. I need to I need to take a nap. Of Courtney um just seeing just having like a having her mind play tricks on her until lo and behold the killer is actually real and then he just goes around and kills. I do give credit to the killer. I'll say this 100 times. I'll give credit to the killer for at least feeling like he had some personality, and you could kind of get the feeling that he was really camping it up. Like, he probably thought he knew it was a Corman film. He had probably seen the first one and he was like, okay, I'm going to be as cheesy as possible. He's campy, but the movie isn't campy. The movie isn't campy. So he kind of feels like he's out of left field in this movie, and either this movie didn't deserve him as the killer, or he was too good for this movie. I wonder if he did anything else. It wouldn't check me if he did bit parts. Um, so anyway, next time I'll be right back with part 3. See ya. What's new, Scooby-Doo? We're coming after you. We're gonna solve that mystery. Anyway. Hey, people. It's finally time to finish. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's too much emotion. What up? Part 3. Slumber Party movie. And Wow. Okay. Let's let's go into it. Okay? The first one was a parody of like slasher movies. Halloween, Friday the 13th, um pretty much those. So, straightforward. But it flipped a lot of things by having it mainly star a bunch of women, having it written by woman, having it be about a virgin losing her virginity and how scary that would seem for a horror film. That's fine. Second one kind of did the slasher, but really was more of like a Nightmare on Elm Street like thing with dream sequences and being just crazy loony. This one says screw it and goes Texas Chainsaw Massacre and goes Texas Chainsaw 3D. Yeah. This, if I didn't know that this movie was made in 1990, I would have guessed the movie came out like 7 or 8 years ago. This movie does so many of the cliched tropes you've seen 100 times before in other movies, in other horror movies. If you've seen 10 horror movies, you've probably seen enough of the tropes. Okay, first problem I have with this movie. The killer always used a drill in the movies. In the first one, he used a drill. In the second one, he used a drill on a guitar. Cool, by the way. In this, he doesn't always use the drill. You can kind of tell that this director was not a fan of horror films because she clearly didn't watch the first two. And for someone who's not a fan of horror movies, this director and writer, I think she was the writer and director, she did all of the stock cliche tropes that you've seen in all these other movies. The killer uses knives, a post, a mallet, uses all those things. He kills more people with those things than I think he does with the drill. Also, another thing that's unique in Slumber Party movies is that you can tell who the killer is. They don't try to hide the killer. In this one, they give you 2 fake potential ones before revealing who the actual killer is. I'm not gonna spoil who the killer is, but it's like, so the others were just red herrings, I guess. And one of them turns out to be a good-ish guy. Ish. Just give me a pass on that one. Okay. Also, he also kills somebody with a plug-in vibrator. Let's get to nudity. This is tame. This is tame by Slumber Party Massacre 2 standards in terms of nudity. I think only 2 or 3 girls out of like 6 get naked in this. Well, I'm being a little generous at saying naked. Many of them, it's just topless. There's only one girl where you see her butt. That is it. That is weak by Slumber Party Massacre 2. Wow. Showgirls 2 laughs at your lack of nudity. Let's see, what else? Wallace in the first movie, the killer was just a crazy killer, and in the second one, he was like, I don't know, the devil or something. In this, they kind of try to make him sympathetic. Yeah. They try to make the killer sympathetic after he's killed numerous people. They try to make him say like, I'm sorry, you should feel bad for me. No! I don't really know how much to like even go on about this. This one is also longer than the other ones, like 80 minutes. You feel it. There's a lot of filler padding, and what makes the movie go even slower is that there's not as many, is that it's just a typical slasher. There's not really much of any humor in this movie. In this one, or I guess everything, all the members are like part of like a group, or have a reason. Like the first one, they're part of like a basketball team. The second one, they're part of a rock group. In this one, they're part of a volleyball team, I think. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of sad how this series degenerated from a parody comedy of horror films to just a standard mock horror film, or a standard run-of-the-mill horror film. The only good part I'll give about this is that because this movie was made in the 90s, the actors aren't played by 30-year-olds. Instead, they're maybe played by 20-year-olds. Trying to think, is there anything else I would say about this that's good? I don't know, I liked the black cop, I guess. And, what is one of the girls who one of the brunettes, I thought she was kind of cute. Honestly, this movie is just generic and forgettable. You could have put him in a mask and it would have just been viewed as a Friday the 13th knockoff. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. I've ranted about this movie longer than the people who wrote this movie probably spent making this movie. So, yeah, I don't recommend this movie. Just watch the first one. The first one is far better. You know what? I need to watch a good movie now. Or at least something that's intentionally a comedy. So join us next time when we take a look at a more comedic horror film. Okay, we'll be back for that one. Bye!